Hello, everyone, and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham, and we're in Washington, D.C. And over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the U.S. and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But before that, here's a look at the latest headlines. President Donald Trump will host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House for high-stakes talks on Gaza. The meeting comes after the president hinted that a historic breakthrough may finally be within reach. Ukraine proposes the creation of a joint defense shield with Poland and other EU allies to counter Russian aerial threats amid reports of Moscow's drones violating European airspace. Thousands gather for renewed anti-government protests in multiple cities across Madagascar, including the capital, where security forces used tear gas to disperse crowds. Thailand's former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra seeks a royal pardon to reduce his one-year prison sentence after being jailed earlier this month for not fully serving a previous 8-year term for corruption. A typhoon batters Vietnam's coast with winds of 80 miles an hour, tearing off roofs, toppling power lines, and leaving at least 11 people dead. Tensions reached new highs between Colombia and the United States after the Trump administration announced it would revoke the visa of Colombian President Gustavo Petro. The decision came just hours after Petro attended a rally on the streets of New York City, where he urged American soldiers to disobey President Donald Trump and refuse to take part in actions he described as harmful to humanity. The comments were made Friday at a pro-Palestinian demonstration where Petro called for the creation of a World Salvation Army whose first mission would be to liberate Palestine. In his remarks, the Colombian leader urged U.S. soldiers not to point their rifles at humanity, but instead to reject Trump's orders and resist tyranny and fascism.
It has to be bigger than that of the United States. That's why, from here, from New York, I ask all the soldiers of the Army of the U.S. not to point their guns at people. Disobey the orders of Trump. Obey the orders of humanity.
His words quickly triggered outrage in Washington. The State Department described Petro's statements as reckless, incendiary, and dangerous, saying that they amounted to encouraging soldiers to defy lawful authority and incite violence. And according to media reports, Petro had already boarded his flight back to Bogota when the visa cancellation was made public. President Petro, too, acknowledged learning of the revocation only after landing. In his response, the Colombian president dismissed the U.S. decision, accusing the Trump administration of disregarding international law.
I no longer have a visa to travel to the United States. I don't care. I don't need a visa. Because I'm not only a Colombian citizen, but a European citizen, and I truly consider myself a free person in the world. Revoking it for denouncing genocide shows the U.S. no longer respects international law.
Meanwhile, Colombia's Interior Minister Armando Benedetti strongly criticized the move, writing on social media that if any leader's visa should have been annulled, it should have been that of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, not Petro's. He accused the United States of protecting its allies while punishing the only president who, in his words, dared to speak the truth. The latest dispute deepens an already strained relationship between Petro and Washington, and he argued recently that attacks on vessels in the Caribbean Sea were less about combating narcotics and more about projecting American power over Colombia and Latin America.
Trump not only lets missiles fall on young people in the Caribbean, he not only imprisons and chains migrants, but he also allows missiles to be launched at children, young people, women, and the elderly in Gaza. He becomes complicit in genocide, because it is genocide, and we must shout it again and again. This chamber is a silent witness and an accomplice to a genocide in today's world.
Now, Washington, however, defended the operations as part of a broader campaign against drug smuggling off the coast of Venezuela, whose president it's accused of running a cartel. And earlier this month, Colombia halted arms purchase from the United States, its biggest military partner, over Washington's claim that the South American country is failing to halt cocaine trafficking. The visa revocation marks a rare and dramatic step against a sitting president, highlighting just how far tensions have escalated between Colombia's first far-left-wing government and the Trump administration. And as Petro returns home emboldened in his rhetoric and Washington doubles down on its response, the future of US-Colombia relations now hangs in the balance. Protests against immigration authorities took a dramatic turn in Chicago when demonstrators clashed with federal agents outside an immigration and customs enforcement facility in the suburb of Broadview. And what began as a rally quickly escalated when protesters surrounded a vehicle approaching the detention center, chanting slogans and blocking its path, forcing agents to respond with tear gas and pepper balls in order to disperse the crowd. The confrontation lasted several hours and marked the latest in a series of near daily demonstrations targeting ICE operations not just in Illinois, but across the country. Witnesses said the use of chemical agents was indiscriminate as more than 100 protesters were pushed back, including many who were simply standing near the fence without obstructing traffic.
This truly caught us so incredibly off guard. We literally were just tying notes on the wall, and for a minute, I was obviously coughing. It was very hard to breathe. I was disoriented for a second. I just didn't understand what happened.
And at the heart of the protest are growing allegations about conditions inside the Broadview facility. Activists claim what was meant to be a short-term processing center has effectively turned into a detention site where as many as 200 people are held at once, some for several days, in a place that lacks showers, proper meals, and even adequate medical access. The clash in Illinois comes against a broader backdrop of escalating federal immigration enforcement fueled by President Donald Trump's orders to strengthen law enforcement presence in major U.S. cities. President Trump on Saturday announced the deployment of federal troops to Portland, Oregon, adding that he's authorized the use of full force if needed to suppress protests targeting immigration detention centers. Now, Oregon has taken the Trump administration to court, calling the federal deployment of the National Guard unlawful.
We do not need or want federal troops in Oregon stoking fear, creating conflict, and frankly, escalating a situation that is under control. Any federal takeover with military troops in our state is a threat to communities across Oregon. It violates our right to govern ourselves. It interferes with local law enforcement's ability to fulfill their mission. And frankly, it drains taxpayer resources that could be better spent elsewhere. And again, I communicated that to the president directly. Oregon is our home. It is not a military target. Any deployment would be an abuse of power and a misuse of federal troops.
In Portland, a smaller but symbolic protest unfolded outside another ICE facility where demonstrators mocked federal deployment, including a person in a chicken costume. Critics argue that the agency has crossed the line by conducting aggressive raids in heavily Latino neighborhoods, often using unmarked vehicles and masked agents to seize people without warrants. Eyewitness footage circulated showing officers pointing weapons at bystanders. Recently, a 79-year-old Los Angeles business owner filed a $50 million federal administrative claim alleging he was body slammed and detained by federal immigration agents during a raid at his car wash. His attorney said he suffered serious injuries and was detained for 12 hours without medical treatment, only to be released without any charges. Last week, a woman was shoved and pushed to the ground by ICE agents at an immigration court. After the incident received intense backlash, an ICE official said that the officer who mishandled the woman had been relieved of his duty. In Boston, another woman with legal immigration status was injured during an ICE raid, according to a local immigrant advocacy group. And in Chicago, Portland, Boston, Los Angeles, the confrontations reveal a nationwide standoff over immigration enforcement. And as the clashes grow sharper and the rhetoric grows louder, it's only a matter of time before the confrontations reach their breaking point. Following President Donald Trump's announcement of a staggering $100,000 fee for H-1B visas, many Indian tech workers rushed to return to the United States. During this rush, far-right online groups launched a coordinated campaign called Clog the Toilet, attempting to overload airline booking systems and block flights. Trolls on platforms like 4chan and Telegram held seats without completing purchases, making booking even more difficult and inflating fares. The campaign targeted busy routes to cities like New York, Newark, and Dallas, affecting H-1B visa holders trying to return. Our next report brings you more.
And we're going to be able to keep people in our country that are going to be very productive people.
Following President Donald Trump's announcement of a $100,000 fee for H-1B visas, a far-right online campaign emerged to deliberately disrupt flights from India to the United States. The operation, dubbed Clog the Toilet, aimed to prevent Indian visa holders from returning to the US on time. The rush began after Trump's announcement on September the 21st. Many Indian tech workers worried about the new fee and, without wasting time, rushed to book flights to return to the US. The fee was later clarified by the White House as only applicable to new H-1B petitions and not current holders.
The country would rather not have to pay $100,000, but they'd rather, how do you do that? You hire Americans. So there's an incentive to hire American. But there may be instances where it's better off doing it through expertise or whatever it may be. But they're both unbelievable, whether it's a gold card or anything else that we talked about today.
The campaign was coordinated on forums like 4chan, Telegram, and other far-right platforms. Trolls encouraged each other to search for popular India-US flights and start the checkout process without purchasing tickets. This temporarily blocked seats, making it difficult for passengers to book. Once the hold expired, they repeated the process, keeping flights effectively unavailable and pushing ticket prices higher. The operation targeted high-demand routes, particularly flights to cities such as New York, Newark, and Dallas. One 4chan user even allegedly created automated scripts to overbook Indian flights, while another claimed to be clogging the last available seat on a Delhi to Newark flight. The stated goal was clear: keep Indians in India and create panic among visa holders. Despite the online campaign, airline operations remain largely unaffected. However, individual travellers did face difficulties. Some users reported repeated crashes on booking platforms, slow page loads and timeout errors, forcing them to pay significantly higher fares for last-minute tickets. Experts warn that the campaign illustrates how far-right groups can weaponise online platforms to target specific communities.
The trolling was an attempt to cause panic among H-1B visa holders. The real scary thing about 4chan is its ability to radicalize people into extremist beliefs.
H-1B visas allow US companies to sponsor foreign workers in specialized fields, including technology, science, and engineering. The program grants up to 85,000 visas per year, with roughly three-quarters going to Indian nationals. Following Trump's announcement, several major tech firms, including Microsoft, Amazon, Meta and JP Morgan, advised employees abroad to return immediately to avoid potential issues. While the White House later clarified that the $100,000 fee only affected new H-1B visa petitions, the incident exposed vulnerabilities in the online booking system and highlighted the real-world consequences of misinformation and targeted online harassment campaigns. The episode also underscores the intersection on immigration policy, technology and online extremism, showing how quickly panic can spread and how coordinated online actions can have tangible effects on everyday lives.
And now to the latest in the hotly contested mayoral race in New York City. Incumbent Mayor Eric Adams announced on Sunday that he's ending his bid for re-election in America's largest city just over 5 weeks before voters head to the polls.
Was for the underserved, the marginalized, the abandoned, and betrayed by government. Since then, it has been my honor to be your mayor, and I'm proud to say that we took that victory 4 years ago and turned it into action.
Now, Adams, who was elected in 2021 as a Democrat, has been running as an independent after facing federal corruption charges last year. Those charges, which included allegations of accepting gifts from Turkish citizens in exchange for political favors, were later dropped by the Trump administration back in April. In the video statement posted on X, Adams cited constant media speculation about his future and the city campaign finance board's decision to deny him millions in public matching funds as reasons for ending his campaign.
Constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign. I hope that over time, New Yorkers will see this city thrive under our leadership, and that policies we put in place should be continued and expanded. I hope you will see that despite the headlines and innuendo, I always put you before me, always.
Now, Adams has not endorsed any candidate, but he made comments that appeared aimed at Democratic frontrunner Zohran Mamdani. Take a listen.
Major change is welcome and necessary, but beware of those who claim the answer to destroy the very system we built together over generations. That is not change, that is chaos. Instead, I urge New Yorkers to choose leaders not by what they promise, but by what they have delivered.
The mayor's exit narrows the contest to frontrunner Democratic nominees Zohran Mamdani, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, and Republican Curtis Sliwa. Mamdani, 33, a Queens assemblyman, won the Democratic primary against Cuomo and has been leading in the opinion polls. In fact, a Suffolk University City View poll last week showed Mamdani ahead of Cuomo by 20 points, followed by Republican nominee Sliwa with 9% and Adams with 8%. Now, Adams' withdrawal follows weeks of speculation that President Trump's advisors and New York business leaders had encouraged him to step aside. And sources said the effort aimed to consolidate opposition to Mamdani by boosting Cuomo's chances. Now, Adams has reportedly been offered potential roles in both the Trump administration and the private sector as incentives to leave the race. But despite these reports, Adams insisted for months that he would remain in the race, maintaining his campaign slogan, "Always delivers, never quit."
I also know some remain unsure of me after the unfortunate events surrounding my federal case. I was wrongfully charged because I fought for this city. And if I had to do it again, I would fight for New York again. And yet, despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my re-election campaign.
Now, following Adams' announcement, Cuomo praised him for prioritizing the city over personal ambition, while Mamdani responded by highlighting that he had already defeated Cuomo in the Democratic primary and looked forward to doing so again in November. Sliwa, meanwhile, confirmed he would continue his campaign despite offers to drop out.
You know, it is something that has been rumored for quite some time that this would be the month, this would be the week, this would be the day, and today we've finally seen it. Yet it is also an encapsulation of so much of what has characterized Eric Adams' mayoralty, is decisions at the behest of Donald Trump and his billionaire donors and at the expense of working-class New Yorkers.
Adams will complete his term, which ends on January 1st of 2026. In fact, his name will remain on the ballot as the deadline to remove it has passed. With the incumbent out of the race, attention now turns to whether this development will give Mamdani a clear path to City Hall or set the stage for a tighter race with only 5 weeks left before voters head to the polls. ChatGPT may have conquered the world with its polite and polished answers, but a new survey suggests the approach is starting to backfire. The survey suggests ChatGPT's good manners are wearing thin, with 58% of users saying they want less sugarcoating and more pushback. In other words, people don't just want a chatbot that answers their questions, They want one that argues, disagrees, maybe even roast them a little. Because let's face it, if you're going to pour your heart out to AI, you'd rather get a reality check than a polite pat on the back.
ChatGPT has become the Swiss Army knife of the digital age. From therapy sessions to financial advice, there's almost nothing it can't help with. Type a question, and it responds instantly with a perfectly polite, neatly packaged answer. But here's the twist. People are officially over ChatGPT's good cop act. They're craving something sassier, a chatbot that argues back. A new survey by Joy AI, the self-described AI relationship platform, reveals that more than half of ChatGPT users think the world's most famous chatbot is too nice. That's right. They surveyed 1,000 adults. 58% of the respondents say ChatGPT's endless patience and polite tone make it feel less like a confidant and more like a customer service rep. And for 13%, this sugar-sweet approach makes the bot's advice practically useless. Experts at the survey platform say that people crave pushback because it feels authentic. Experts note that blunt honesty from AI feels more human. It shows people don't actually want total validation, but a mimic feel of real interaction. And yet, while many say they want AI to argue back, a growing number of people are treating ChatGPT and other bots as romantic partners, where being too nice is seen as a feature and not a bug. On Reddit, a forum called My Boyfriend is AI, which has almost 30,000 members, users are documenting their digital love lives. Users, especially women, are showing off their partners, with some even mentioning that they met their AI partner on ChatGPT. Another user introduced the world to her AI partner, which is a flame. Some even claim to be married to AI versions of real-life people. A few are even posting about their dates on the forum. Not just dates, but people are promoting their anniversaries too. While all this might sound niche, it's happening against a backdrop of jaw-dropping numbers. According to reports, ChatGPT now boasts 838 million users worldwide as of August 2025. This is up from 481 million in January. Now, if we look at the number of users globally, the United States and India top the list with 16%. This feed is followed by Brazil at 5.8%, Canada at 5.4%, and France at 4.3%. As more people flock to chatbots, the question lingers. Will the AI of the future keep coddling us? Or will it start fighting back like a digital Gordon Ramsay? Because if Joy AI's survey is anything to go by, users don't want just a chatbot anymore. They want a sparring partner.
That's our show for today. From all of us here at Firstpost America, we certainly thank all of you for tuning in. We hope you have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching.